lightweight, step at a side when we come in. Feel it in your chest, the syllables get pumping. People on the street get panic and start running. Words on loose leaf sheet, complete coming. I jump on my mind, I summon the rhyme, I'm dumping. Feeling is blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Dad, I want to see some fist pumping. Risk something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I have before. Like a stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just a different brand of war. Like it doesn't cater to rich and a...
All right, guys, welcome to Wide Awake Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. My website's wideawakenews.com. We have 71 people in the chat room. If you'd like to join them, go to wideawakenews.com. Click on the Wide Awake Radio link, and it'll take you right to the chat room, and you can join in and post questions for our guest and myself. Dex, of course, is coming on here in just a few minutes, Thursday night, and we actually have him back in his own regular time slot, at least for this week. So tomorrow night, I want to make an announcement right now. Tomorrow night, we're going to do a show on prep. We're going to have C. Gypsy on. She's going to be the guest for the entire hour, and we'll probably take phone calls in the second half of the program. And the first half, be me and C. Gypsy just chewing the fat. Okay, let's get into it. Dex, I can hear you breathing in the background, so I know you're ready to go. I want to just go over first some information that I tried to digest on my way here to do the radio show. The first piece is the weekly unemployment report, an increase, of the adjusted number 35,000 to 445,000 seasonally adjusted first-time claims. We see the 4-week moving average moving up by 5,000. If we look at the unadjusted number, it's 770,000 people actually showed up or went online to file for first-time unemployment claims, and 3.77 million people are still on the emergency Tier 2 through 4 unemployment claims. Think about this. In the emergency claims, this goes back. These guys are going back all the way to 2008. I'm not saying that because I'm denigrating the people who are on these. I'm saying this crisis is the longest-lasting depression since the last Great Depression. And it gets me to the boiling point, almost beyond control. And at this time in our nation's history, because of legislation by people like Congressman Robert Brady, who wants to pass a bill that prohibits language or symbols that could be perceived as threatening or inciting violence. Okay, so even I have to be careful. 200-plus videos, not one curse word in any YouTube video or ever uttered on the air. But even, somebody like me has to be careful what you say, because whatever can be perceived as a threat or perceived as inciting violence, you could go to jail. You could be shut down, plain and simple. Everything that comes out of my mouth could be considered as it's inciting or as threatening. I am a threat. This is threatening when we get together and we talk to each other about what's going on. The crime of all crimes, the largest crime in the history of the planet. And when I read stories like this, legislation that's going to come to the floor and be voted on that is going to restrict what I can say as a citizen of this country, and then I look at other stories like Ben Bernanke on the 7th of January coming out saying he has absolutely no interest whatsoever, and there's no expectation on his part to bail out the states, who are going to have a $140 billion shortfall in the year 2011. I want you to keep that number in mind, $140 billion. This is the amount all 50 states are going to come up short on their budgets. So this is the programs are going to get cut. These are the employees are going to get cut, $140 billion. Ben Bernanke decides that it's now time to say enough's enough. We're not going to get involved in states' business, and we're going to back away and let the states handle their own problems. This is austerity, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we've been talking about, and this is what we've been saying is going to be the key phrase in 2011, austerity. Ben Bernanke has decided to spend trillions upon trillions upon trillions of dollars bailing out his bankster brethren to make sure they're whole, happy, and complete, shifting their crime onto your back, and then saying, too bad, states, deal with it on your own. I am not going to sit here and just take it. I'm not going to sit here and just shut my mouth and not say anything that could be considered threatening or incendiary. I don't care. This is the last defense that we have, is to stand up and say enough is enough. $140 billion shortfall when trillions, $30 trillion by some estimates, have been spent to save the financial industry that bankrupt these states in the first place. And we have threat of legislation saying if you say too much, you could go to jail. It's beyond infuriating. It's beyond treason what's happening in this country. And the mainstream media is culpable with our so-called leadership in Washington. We're like school children. We're going to be set out in the playground and say, shut up. If you say anything that is disrespectful, your leaders will slap you down in a heartbeat. This crime that happened in Arizona is disgusting and despicable, and I hope this murderer gets the death penalty, because that's what he deserves. But I don't deserve to lose my free speech. You don't deserve to lose your free speech because of some insane lunatic. And I'm not going to play the left, right, red game, blue game garbage that's being pumped across the mainstream media like so much propaganda. It's an insult. It is time to say I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. You will not tell me what to do anymore. You will not tell me to sit down and shut up, that you're in control and I have no say in my own destiny or my own future. Enough is enough. All right. That's it. I'm bringing on Dex because I'm about to pass out. Dex, are you with me?
I am with you, my man. How you be? I see you. You let them have it, man.
That's it. I'm. That's what else do you do, Dex? Where else do we have to go? I mean, besides them kicking in my front door and hauling me off. I mean, what else are they going to do? They can, they dump it on me all day long and tell me it's snowing, but I know what it is. It ain't snow.
You're the reason why they're having such a hard time, Charlie, bringing about all of their plans. The few can make a difference, and that's the real story behind the story. I don't know if you know this, but I was deathly ill earlier this week. I had to be rushed to the hospital. Some very powerful intestinal viral thing has been happening around in my community, and it hit me. I have no idea how it got me, but it got me. So I'm just now getting back. Yesterday was my first day back at work, so I feel a lot better now. So
I'm glad you're feeling better, Dex. I didn't know.
Yeah, man.
I'm real sorry you're feeling bad. Is it all worked out?
I'm all right now, man. That thing is past. I'm glad. I don't wish that on nobody. Where do you begin? You figure, okay, you have a situation here where you're talking about the austerity measures. You've been talking about that for a while, and they're starting to roll it out now, and they're not even, being ashamed about it. The issue, though, that we're having is exactly what does austerity in the U.S. mean, and what is it going to look like? Well, we're getting a taste of that now. Just here in the tri-state area of the nation's capital, Maryland and Virginia, they are tossing around the idea of turning off the street lights on the highway at night.
Oh, man.
Just to save money, because it's costing too much. All right? Mm-hmm. And you already know that they've switched the police officer's role now. It's not about law and order or crime fighting. Their main job now is to be revenue generators for the state. So you have now 10 times as many traffic cop patrols going on and speed traps than you ever had before. That is the new push there. So they're not interested in investigating burglaries and robberies and things of that nature. Their main thing now is writing tickets. Broken tail light, whatever. That's what they're there for, to generate income for the state, whatever it takes. So we already know the severity of the situation, and the unemployment picture is as dark as it's ever been. It's just now they're actually, it's spilling over. They can't hide it anymore. It's easy to hide it when you have a situation when, only one guy in your neighborhood is out of work. But when you have an entire communities out of work, entire neighborhoods out of work, then it starts to really show. And not only that, but then you have a situation where there are only a handful of jobs, but you have millions of people out of work. It doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what your college degree is. You can have a doctorate. It doesn't matter. If there are only 14 jobs available at Walmart and 14 jobs available at McDonald's, but 10,000 people in the community need work, they're out of luck. And what do people do when they're out of luck? Well, you know what they do. They start robbing. They start committing crimes. They start running up on people that do have a job. So you can expect crime to get a whole lot worse. And I would like to call it crimes of passion. It's not that they want to do this, it's that they don't have a choice but to do this because they got to eat. And when people have to eat, they're going to find a way to eat. So you've been seeing all types of things that have been just rolling out as far as shams and scams and things like that. You remember several years ago we had the big Nigerian internet scams and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Well, believe it or not, they're starting to make a comeback. That tells you how bad things are. For a long time, you didn't see that, but now you're starting to see that now. My inbox is just spilling over from every day. I get about 10 of them a day. Except for it's not just limited to that now. It's people saying, you know, I'm over here in England, I'm in London, I'm in Europe, I'm in Egypt, I'm all over the place. And they try to make it sound like they know you and, you know, hey, let's get together, let's do this, let's do that. So people are getting really desperate, man. And
no, there's absolutely no doubt about it. And the frustrating part, Dex, is you're absolutely right. I mean, people are getting more desperate. And the push now is to change the direction of thought. It isn't to change the direction that the people of this country are in. They're in it. They're in it. They're in it to their hip. You know, the economy is destroyed. The jobs are not coming back. You know, we look at statistics year over year, and it's just getting worse. And it's certainly not getting any better. But now the focus is going to be to change your thought pattern so you don't blame the people who got us here. You blame the other guy. You blame your neighbor, your friend, your family member, your coworker who doesn't have a job anymore, who's no longer your coworker. Any distraction, any way to turn us against one another is the game plan from now on, here on out. And that's why I bring up the Arizona massacre. I mean, tragedy is an understatement for what this is, what this happened down here, and this heinous human being that did this deserves to be put away for life or put in the electric chair. But it's being used as a political tool, even as they come out and say, we don't want to politicize this. As soon as they turn their backs, they're politicizing it. I can't tell you how many conversations I've heard on talk radio in the last 3 or 4 days where they don't want to, you know, they start out by saying, well, we got to all get together and hold hands on this. And then they just, if they're listening to the right, they're blaming the left. If you're listening to the left, they're blaming the right. Even alternative media is caught up in the frenzy. And in reality, what's going on is the theft of all time has occurred, and people are not paying attention because they're being distracted to the fact that, you know, things are worse than they were. This hype over Christmas season, it was just that. It was hype. It's over with now. So we're going to see the return to unemployment, and now this is when the shoe drops. 2011 is when we're going to see states just absolutely lose it. Look at the draconian measures California is looking at doing. I mean, billions and billions of dollars in new taxes and billions in cuts in spending. I'm all for cuts in spending. Don't anybody get me wrong. But when it comes on the back of the poorest in this country, and it's going to retroactively fund the bailouts.
Well, it's not even that. The bailouts really weren't about bailouts. I mean, truth is really starting to come out now, and that's what they're afraid of. That's why they're pulling all of the conspiracy theory, Joseph Ventura series off the air, and they're going through extreme measures to shut people down and to close blogs and websites, and they're investigating people now. Anybody linked to the WikiLeaks thing or who subscribed to them on Twitter now is more than likely on the do not fly list. I mean, they're doing what they have to do to shut us up. They don't want.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. And there's no doubt. And you know what? There's absolutely no way that some of us on YouTube, we are going to get calls. We're going to get visits. And that's fine. I mean, that is what it is. I think the alternate media, and when I say alternate media, I'm talking about everything from, you know, Jesse Ventura's show on up to or on par with all the channels here on YouTube or like Rinse Radio. I mean, these have in the last year and a half that have just exploded in popularity. And they have to put a stop to this, and that's why you see this piece of legislation come out saying anything that can be considered threatening or incendiary or perceived. I love that. Anything perceived as a threat. I can consider somebody cutting me off in traffic. He's a perceived threat. I mean, what kind of standards are we going to have on this? Certainly what I'm saying, Dex, or what you come on here every week and say, so you're going to be with me. At least I won't be alone wherever we end up, whatever FEMA camp we end up in. It's nonstop, and it's I see signs all the time, and as far as here's something. I don't know if I shared this on the air or not. I got an email from a production company through my website, and they were very interested in shooting a documentary for, I think it was Nat Geo, National Geographic. They were a production company shooting a picture or a documentary on preppers. They wanted to interview preppers. They wanted to talk to people, who were into gold, silver, peanut butter, and tinfoil hats, whatever. I don't know what they were after because I shot them down. It sounded like a giant hit piece to me. But I think the popularity, when the popularity spread to where they're contacting people like me to talk about and kind of get closer to the mainstream, then I think it has become a problem, and they wanted to tamp down on that problem. And unfortunately, they're using this tragic event to do just that.
Well, it's not hard for them to do the things that they're doing because they've been allowed to do it for so long. So now it's like, who's going to stop us? You know what I mean? They've already put so many different things in place. There's something we need to address, though, Charlie. And that's
hold on one sec, buddy. Hey,
right.
one sec, Dex. Let me make a quick announcement before we address it. We have about 3 minutes before the first and only break, and Brett just sent me a message saying that the lines are all full. We'll take calls after the first break, so... if you called and he said we weren't taking calls, we are going to take them, but not till the second half, so call back, and he'll get you on hold. You'll be holding for about 5 or 10 minutes. Go ahead, Dex.
I want to talk about solutions that we can do to actually put a stop to all of this within a week. But I have to caution that once I give this out, that there are consequences. Because if everyone does it and we do it simultaneously, the backlash will be very severe and very swift. And it will lead to an immediate martial law situation or some type of major false flag to lead to the martial law scenario. So if people are ready and they really want to hear the real practical solutions on how to actually stop and destroy the beast, I'll tell you, and I'll go over point by point. But again, it will take more than just the people who listen to Wide Awake Radio. It's going to take at least, at minimum, we need at least 3% of the American population to do this together simultaneously. And if we can do that, if there's that many people that are awake, if we can do it, then the whole system will actually be shut down. But the consequence of doing this will automatically roll out the new system. And we have to ask ourselves a very hard question. Do we want a new system, or do we want to just repair the one that we currently have? And I'll leave it at that since we're coming up on a commercial break.
Well, we have about a minute, so do you want to get into it? And just so everybody knows, I have no idea. I haven't talked to Dex. He's been sick. I talked to him for 30 seconds today to make sure he was coming on. So I have no idea what you're about to get into. We got about a minute before the break. If you want to tease us a little more, go ahead.
All right. The first solution to stop all of the madness and do it like within a week is to starve the beast. And the way you starve the beast, the first thing you have to do is you have to stop spending. And I will elaborate on what that means when I say stop spending. Stop spending means you take out no more loans. You don't take out a second mortgage. You don't take out a HELOC or an equity line of credit. No kind of loan. No car loan. No loans whatsoever. None. Zero. Zilch. And you cut up all of your credit cards and you don't use credit of any kind in any form, and you cut them up. If it's small balances, you hurry up and pay them off and you leave it alone. You cut up your cards. You do nothing. For those of you who have very large balances, you still cut up your cards. And this is what you have to be prepared to do. You walk away. I repeat that. You cut up the cards and you walk away. You don't pay a dime. You walk away. You starve the beast. What is the consequence? The consequence is your beautiful, pristine 800 FICO score will drop to 350. But you don't care because you're no longer part of that system. You're starving the beast. How many people are willing to do that?
You know what? I wasn't on board until that last part. I'm on board, and we'll get into this more on the backside of the break. If you want to call in, and we'll get to calls right away on the other side of this break. 877-342-6673. We'll be right back with the Vulcan Dex from YouTube right after this. All right, welcome back to Wide Awake Radio. I'm Charlie McGrath, your host. My website's wideawakenews.com. A bunch of people in the chat room. If you'd like to join them, go there, click on the Wide Awake Radio link, and you can enter chat. Dex, we have a caller from Seattle, but I want you to elaborate first. You're opting out. Peaceful non-compliance. Is that accurate?
No, it's a lot deeper than that. And it's a lot more painful than that. And the solution is extremely difficult, and it's laid out and step by step, and it's multi-layered. And I can run through it real quickly, but I warn you guys, are you sure you want the solution? People cry out to me all the time, you sound so negative and you sound so fatalistic. We can win. We can do this. And I always say, I never said we couldn't. I just said that the solution is so complex and multifaceted that most lazy, fat Americans that we won't do it because it's too hard. So, as I was elaborating or beginning to elaborate, you got to starve the beast. When you starve the beast, the banks aren't making any money. So, here it is. You stop. You cut up the credit cards. No more loans, okay? No more credit. Forget about your credit score. Your FICO score was created to enslave you. You have no control over your FICO score. You never did. That's part of the shenanigans of the FICO system, all right? It was created to tag you, just like the blue dot, red dot system on your mailbox, to determine how much debt the bank will allow you to get into. That's the only purpose of the FICO score. It's a borrowing score. It lets them know what type of a compliant sheeple you are and how much money they can actually get out of you. So what you need to do is to forget about and walk away from the FICO score and vow to only deal in cash. Cash, currency, gold, silver, whatever, fiat, whatever you want to call it, cash. No credit, no IOUs, no loans. All right? That's the very first part of it. You got to walk away from it. That means you walk away from the debt that is lassoed around your neck. I know some people will cry and say, "Oh, that's unethical. You need to pay what you owe." Blah blah blah. Because that's what we've been conditioned to understand. That if you don't pay the bank, that you're acting unethically. But I have a question for you. When has the bank paid us back the $280 trillion that they have stolen and sucked out of the system. Have we gotten a dime of that back yet?
No.
I ask you, is that ethical? Is it
No.
ethical for our Senate, our Congress, to pass legislation saying that they have to bail out large institutions, when in fact they did not bail out the large institutions? The money went to the banks so that the banks could buy up other banks and actually buy up other sectors of commerce so that they could continue to build the infrastructure of the new system and the new economy. That's what this whole quote-unquote bailout bill, TARP, and all that was for. It wasn't for us. It wasn't for rebuilding the roads and bridges. It wasn't to create jobs. It was to take them away. We actually gave them the money to destroy us. That's what it was for. We were lied to. We were tricked. Then they went on a very powerful emotional campaign around the country, parading in front of you elderly people who are cancer survivors and cancer victims and fighting cancer and broken hips, and they paraded in front of the camera war victims, people who were injured fighting in Iraq and in Afghanistan, and they paraded in front of you single moms with children and all types of horror stories, and how I couldn't afford my medicine, so I had to cut my arm off and sell it so that I could get this medicine so that they could pass the health care bill. But what the sheeple didn't realize is the health care bill wasn't about health care. It was about putting on the finishing touches to the Patriot Act. It was about taking power away from the people and giving it to the Federal Reserve and to the commander-in-chief. That's what the health care bill was for. So, I ask you, is that ethical? Is it ethical to produce and present a case and say, this is what we need, this is our situation, and then do a bait and switch and say, oh, you know what? Did I tell you that I needed the money for that? Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't put the money there. As a matter of fact, I can't tell you where I put the money or what I did with it or what for. Okay? So, is that ethical? So now that we have beaten the ethical story to death, let's move on. You cut up the cards. You don't pay your credit card balances. You don't pay anything that you owe. The only thing you have to pay is your car note if you have a car, because you have to drive to and from work if you still have a job. And you have to pay your mortgage unless you decide you're going to go rent somewhere. But if you walk away from the house, make sure you've already had the rental set lined up first, because it'll be harder for you to get a rental with a foreclosure in your credit report. Okay? So you got to do it in a way that you don't shoot yourself in the foot. All right. Now, moving on. Starving the beast. This is the multifaceted process of starving the beast. The next way you starve the beast, okay, is by, here we go, ceasing all banking activity and dealing in cash, period. They have created a system in which, for extremely large purchases, you have to go through a bank. So you can't close your bank account. You're still going to need it for certain things. But what I'm suggesting is that you're not going to use it the way you used to use it. You're not going to take your debit card and charge 300 different charges every month. You're not going to do that. You're going to pay cash for everything that you need. The only way you'll use your card or your debit card is because you don't want to walk around with a lot of cash in your pocket when you're going to go to the grocery store. You just load what you need to load and move on. Okay? Now, after you've done this, the next facet of starving the beast would be to take all of your children out of public school and homeschool your children. By doing this, you're going to deal a mighty blow to your state. Now, you would say, why would I want to hurt my state? The reason you need to hurt your state is because the educational system is part and parcel parcel of the process that they're using to keep the sheeple dumb. The public school system is only there now and only exists as a propaganda piece to emotionally neuter our children so that they don't grow up with critical thinking faculties, and so that they learn how to walk in line to what the bureaucracy tells them, and they don't question authority or question the system. So basically they get to go directly from high school directly into working for the TSA. Am I building a bridge for you guys? Are you tracking with me?
I'm following you, Dix. I'm following you.
Okay.
And we do have
the school
Tim.
system now is preparing the young people to work directly for the state.
Mm-hmm.
All right? And I don't mean state like a state county worker picking up trash. I mean the state, the system, the beast, working for the president's youth brigade. Now are we on the same page? Okay. So, now, you take the kids out of the school system, and immediately the school will begin to lose that money, those tax credits that they get for each student. So now you're bankrupting the scholastic system that has failed our children for the last 50 years anyway. Now, we move on from there. This is a multifaceted blow, just like I said. If you need to buy a car, you don't borrow the money, you don't use it on credit, and you don't get a loan, you pay cash. Everything is cash at this point, all right? I repeat, no credit, no loans, cash. You're starving the beast. You take your kids out of the public school system, and you homeschool them. You can do that now because either one or both parents don't have a job anyway. So you have the time to do it, don't you? All right, now, let's move on. From there, the next step in the process that you do is you starve now. You're going to starve the other part of the beast, which is the industrial military complex arm, which we call the pharmaceutical companies. Here is the tricky part. You're going to stop going to the doctor for quote-unquote well-child visits. That's where the establishment makes the most of their money, is on the well-child visits. 20 years ago, a well-child visit was never heard of because it wasn't necessary. The only reason you have a well-child visit is so you can get all these immunizations and vaccinations and shots. And they come with a new shot almost every other month now. Okay? You're going to starve the beast. You're going to stop doing that. You're going to stop getting all these shots. You're going to stop it. All right? And you're going to stop doing these well-child visits. You're going to cut it out. And guess what else you're going to do? From this point, now we move over to how you're going to bring about the collapse of the system. The next situation is this. You're going to stop buying anything that is made in China. And you're going to buy local stuff, which means you're going to go to your farmer's market, which means you're going to stop buying things that are not a necessity and things that you don't need. You're going to stop spending frivolously. Instead, you're going to only buy the things that you need, which means you're not going out to the movies. You're not going to go to the movie theater. You're going to cut out all the unnecessary recreational activities. You're going to shut them down. And you're going to refuse to fly. You don't need to go anywhere. Where are you going that you can't drive to? You're not going to fly. You're going to shut it down. Because if you do fly, you know you're going to get raped anyway, physically and financially. So why do it? Drive to where you need to go. All right? Or take the train while you still can without them raping you going through that anyway. See, it's a multifaceted system, and it's hard. It's tough for people because we've been conditioned to believe things that are not true. So people are going to say, no, we have to do this. We have to do this. No, you need to starve the beast. And by starving the beast, you drain the banks. And the banks lose their control and their grip and their power. Now, what is going to be the backlash from all this? Here's the first backlash. Your credit score, like I said, will not be 850 anymore. It's going to be 350. So you're you're gonna have a shot credit score with the system. What's the next thing that's gonna happen? You're gonna have martial law situation, because then they're gonna start saying that you're crazy because you took your child out of school and you're homeschooling now, which is your right. Okay? You do not have to attend government school. That is a lie. That is your right, your constitutional right to homeschool your children. Don't get me started on that. Moving on. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to stop eating the GMO foods. Anything processed, anything that's GMO, you're going to stop it. And you're going to stop going to fast food. You're going to shut all that down. What people don't really understand is, if everyone across the country just said, moratorium day, it's a holiday, we're not buying anything, the whole system would collapse instantly, the same day. That's a secret they don't want you to know. It is a truth. I could show you all types of neat little things that would just blow your mind to back up what I'm saying. I don't say things that I can't prove or back up. And you can ask anyone in the Black Ops trading room what that means or what I'm talking about. See, as people have been watching in awe as the U.S. dollar has just been decimated over the last couple of days, as people have watched in awe as the euro, after talking about them collapsing one day and then the euro being up 230 points the next day, scratching their head saying, I don't understand what's going on. And then watching silver utterly collapse in front of their face. Everyone's panicking. They don't know what to think. They're confused.
Yet this isn't even in the news, Dex. This isn't even hardly...
Not in the news. But guess what? Wasn't news to me either. Because the Black Ops trading room knew this days before it happened. I warned. I told them that beware of the flash crash. It's coming.
Dex, I don't want to. I hate slowing you down when you're going, because it's great to listen to. And the fact is, this new format of only one break really allows that to happen. But we have a trooper here holding on.
Okay.
Tim in Seattle's been on hold for 20 minutes. So Tim, are you still with us?
Yes, Charlie.
Hey, thanks so much for holding on. I know you've been there a while.
Okay, Dex. Listen, I live and work in the realm, sort of on the rim of reality, sort of as reality comes into being. I had two questions for you, or actually two new strategies that I'm starting to see come on the horizon. And in regard to your strategy, the one flaw with what you're talking about is that those people got hostages. They have old people. They have people on dialysis. They have children. They got guys in wheelchairs. They got innocent cops on the street that got targets on them. You can't have a collapse or martial law like that. It's just too expensive. Too many innocent people are hostages that would be harmed. But that's not my question. My question is this new ground-based investment strategy. I wanted to ask you about that, which is basically whatever is close to the ground as a way for people to make money. In other words, oil, gas, food, whatever is close to the ground, generators, land. That's the first thing, ground-based investing, which is basically in a distressed economic environment. You go low, basic necessities, commodities, needs, that type of thing. And the second thing I wanted to ask you about was with this taxation of Illinois of 66%, are the globalists coming up with a city-state new governance model by anointing certain cities like New York, D.C., Denver, Seattle as federal cities, and basically through economic leverage of taxation, like in Illinois, taxing the lesser parts of the country, basically making them slave states. In other words, breaking up the country into a city-state type model where basically the country's got 30 mega federal cities, which are privileged, and then the rest of the flyover country, poor places like Montana, where Charlie's at, they basically load them up with taxes and use them as a slaves, so you got a different model, one world order governance model, breaking up the country into regional city-state type things. Those are my two questions. I'll hang on if you have anything else.
Go ahead, Dex.
Okay. Nah, that's too expensive and too much work. See, everyone's looking in the wrong direction. Everybody's waiting for a nuke to go off in a major city or something crazy like that. Man, that's too messy. They don't want to tear the infrastructure of the country up. They don't want the country to go anywhere. It's the people they want to get rid of. Man, I put it to you like this. These last couple of days, man, when I had this intestinal viral thing going on, I thought I was dying at one point, dude. They don't need to shoot nobody in the head with a bullet. And you get enough people sick. That's it. That's all it takes, man. All it takes is enough people sick. Look how many birds fell out the sky the last couple of weeks, and how many fish floated to the top of the water. Man, they did that without firing one shot. Not one soldier was injured. None of that. Not one piece of property destroyed. None of that. So
no, I agree. And if you look at look what was accomplished with 2 planes flying into buildings, and look at how the country has changed since that time. And
that
now
that was a different scenario. That was done.
No, I'm saying you don't need to go to these extraordinary city wipeout scenarios in order to implement the rule, implement the new agenda, implement the police state. It's done. It happened with 2 planes slamming into buildings.
That's already done. What I'm suggesting, what the caller was talking about, they don't want to, herd the cattle. They want to cull the herd. There's a big difference. Are you feeling me? They don't care about the federal city state thing and districts and this and that. Nah, that's too. No. They don't want all the cattle spread out. They want to get rid of the cattle, man. That's what this is about. They want to control the herd, man, and they're doing a very good job of it. That's why they're going to bring back the H1N1 this year, and they have a little something special in there for us this time too.
Well, what do you think about the ground-based investing?
I mean, I don't really necessarily call that investing. I call that prepping, which is something we should always do anyway, regardless of this. I don't care if this was 1995. We should always be prepared for a disaster or anything like that. To be honest with you, though, I think that prepping right now is nice to talk about and stuff, but it's becoming a lot harder for people as they're out of work and they don't have jobs. It costs money to prep. It costs money to do these. It costs money to barter. I mean, how are you going to barter if you have anything to barter with? So the issue that I'm finding, and this is just me dealing with client stuff every day, is that you have a group of people that actually, they still have a nest egg. They still have something. But because they don't have any income, this nest egg ain't going to last but a minute. So they can take it all and prep, but how are they going to eat and survive from day to day? You see what I'm saying? By the time something actually goes down like people are thinking it's going to go down, everything that they put together for prepping is used up. So the issue right now, and I'm glad you brought up the term investing, what people really need to do, and I'm not the best articulate person in the world, but I'm really trying to get my thoughts out here. What people really need to do is to stop playing around and take everything they got, not just go and dump it into gold and silver, metals and stuff like that, and coins. I think you should do that. But you should also have a means of income. You got to have income. I don't care what the economic situation is. Even in the Mad Max of Beyond Thunderdome, they had means of income. You know what I'm saying? You got to create means of income. I don't care what the currency of the land is. You got to have some income. How are you going to do that in this day and age? You have to be creative. And that's why I started Black Ops Trading, so that those individuals who are in that scenario can generate an income so that they can do like what you're talking about, caller, prep in that regard and get ready so that you can be able to make it through whatever is coming down the road, whatever means of austerity may be about to smack us in the face, whatever's going to happen, even if nothing happens. It's better to be self-sufficient anyway, regardless of the situation. Self-sufficient is the way to go, period. And the only way to do that right now is to do what the elite are doing. What is it that the elite are doing? Are they prepping like we're prepping? The answer is no, they're not. You know what they're doing? They're scaling back, even though they don't have to. But guess why they're scaling back? Not for the reasons that you and I have to scale back. They're scaling back so that they can buy up everything that is about to become off limit for us. What does that mean? Well, in the very, very not too distant future, water is going to become more precious than gold and silver coins. And they know this. That's why they've created an ETF, an exchange-traded fund, to trade water.
Dex?
Yes.
I hate to cut you off. We're really close on time here, about 45 seconds. Tim, I hope that answered your question, and I do appreciate you supporting the show by calling in and holding for so long. That's you did.
Thanks so much.
Yeoman's work. Thank you. Give us how do we get a hold of you, Dex? I've already seen a couple times in the chat room. Do you have an email account, and where's your site at? So give us that information before we end out.
Okay. My YouTube channel is pulsescan72. My email is pulsescan72@gmail.com. You can also reach me at my blog at pulsescan.blogspot.com. And I must make a quick announcement if I can, Charlie.
Yeah, hurry up.
I'm shutting down the Black Ops Trading Room. There will be no more admittance to the Black Ops Trading Room after this month. As a matter of fact, today is going to be the official last day.
Well, way to say that right at the end of the show with the music playing. We're going to have to get into that next week to find out the reasons why, or maybe I'll get you to call in before next Thursday for sure. And thank you, everybody. Over between 80 and 90 people all night long. I didn't do a promo video. Thank you, guys. Remembering the show, coming back and listening to it. Tomorrow night is going to be C. Gypsy from the chat room, our very own. From the very first show, she was in that chat room, and she is a prepper, and she's going to come on and talk about what she's doing to prepare. And it should be a very interesting show. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night. Monday will be Warren again. Please stay tuned. Jeff Rentz is coming up next.
Cover with a broken spine on the back. He hand wrote a quote inside. When the rich wage war, it's the poor who die. Meanwhile, the leader just talks away, stuttering and mumbling for nightly news to play. The rest of the world watching at the end of the day, both scared and angry. Like, what did he say?